Alright, get a loser, we're going healing. It's about to get dark outside, but we roll. You know, I feel like there's this type of stigma these days around healing, that it's supposed to be like sad or serious. Sure, healing can include shadow work. Healing can include crying. I feel like there's so many different ways and concepts of healing, and it makes sense to everybody differently, I feel. While yes, a part of healing can be like that, that's very valid, but I also want to talk about healing in a way that it's like fun. For example, healing your inner child. You do not have to make healing your entire identity, or like make trauma your entire identity. Don't look at it in like a negative light, but rather look at it like you are basically reclaiming your power. I'm talking about that type of healing that's like watching cartoons that you grew up to, or for example building like a mattress fort or like a blanket fort in your living room. And I feel like for our generation, and this might be different for everybody, but I feel like in our generation, like as 90s kids, yes, we did have fun, but some of us grew too old. Some of us had to be like the strong child or like the strong one, and some of us, I feel like we were exposed to adult things way too early. And now that we're adults and we're in our 20s and in our 30s, we are literally just trying to exist without our anxiety and without a panic attack or being in fight or flight mode. Like, we need to normalize doing the activities that brought you the most joy as a child. We need to normalize doing these in our adult life. One thing that we actually look past and we don't really take it into consideration a lot is nervous system regulation. I feel like one of the best ways to regulate our nervous system is literally living like how we were kids back in the 90s. Life used to be so much simpler and so much slower, and you weren't rushing everything, you weren't rushing life. You actually had time to just sit and watch TV without thinking about the next thing that you have to do. Life was just different back then, and I feel like if we slowly get to how we were back then, we are literally going to heal our nervous system as a collective. You know, it doesn't always have to be about hustle, and it doesn't always have to be about reaching the next big thing, achievements. And while it is great and, you know, it's very nice to build a life for yourself that you love, but you also need to give your body that sense of like safety and calmness. Because trauma lives in the body has to be involved in healing, in the healing process. So it's not just about your mindset, but rather feeling safe in doing something that's considered dumb. You need to feel safe doing it, and you don't need to shame yourself, you know, doing it. And when your nervous system is dysregulated, which mine was for a really long time when I was working in corporate, it will not let you rest, okay? Like, it's just not gonna give it to you. It won't let you play, it won't let you, you know, find joy in the little things. Sometimes healing your nervous system is through doing these things. You know, like, for example, the other day, and me and my younger sister have a 4-year age gap. And the other day I told her, like very randomly, I was like, you know what, like today we should just go on a trampoline. Like, we should just go, forget about everything that we have planned for the day, and just go like jump on a trampoline. Like, as simple as that, you know? She looked at me weird at first, and when we went there, we were getting a couple of like stares, you know, here and there, but we honestly didn't care, and we had a blast. And after we were done, she was like, you know what, I really needed this. I was always like that, but I was always kind of just like suppressing that because I thought that I had to be an adult. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, never say that. For example, watching cartoons that I used to watch in my childhood, coloring, like coloring books, or like, you know, reading. This is what I'm currently focusing on, you know, reliving kind of like the things that like used to bring me the most joy. And you know, this isn't about the movie, it's not about the trampoline, and it's not about, you know, the cartoons. It was about giving myself the permission, you know, without shaming myself, to just simply exist and enjoy the smallest things in life. It's as simple as that. To finally, for once, not be in survival mode, not be thinking about everything that's on my to-do list. Sometimes it's, you know, being with somebody that makes you laugh till your stomach aches. It's like dancing at 2 a.m. in your kitchen or in your room and not really caring about what anybody thinks. And I feel like we are literally not using up our own free will enough. God literally gave us free will, so why aren't we using it like to the max? Like, who said as adults we cannot do trampolines and we cannot do like mattress forts and like blanket forts? And again, to touch on the stigma around healing, you know, it's not meant to be deep 24/7. It's not meant to be crying 24/7. It's not meant to be sitting in solitude 24/7. While this is very important, but there has to be like a balance. You know, you're not meant to always be reflecting. You're not always meant to stay serious. We are not meant to be serious all the time. Like, where do you think all these diseases come from? It's because when stress and these like emotions kind of manifest in our body, you don't necessarily need to earn your healing through pain. You don't need to suffer in order to be taken seriously. At the end of the day, you are still a soul, like a soul that just wants to feel safe. And by the way, you are never too old for anything, okay? Your soul literally never ages. Yes, aging will come, you know, that's something inevitable in human nature, but even if your body ages, your soul is still like young and playful. And like, I heard this thing one time at an interview, you know, and it was something along the lines of, the reason why you're unhappy because like you're a spiritual being but you're trapped in a human body, something like that. Because we just treat ourselves as like these like serious humans, we have to be perfectionists and we have to get everything right and we have to like never make mistakes, you know, we have to basically be like robots 24/7 and get it right all the time. We're not allowing ourselves to be human. Basically, we're not allowing ourselves to feel and to have emotions, and this is why our soul feels like it's trapped in our body. You are never too old for anything, okay, in life. I'm currently reading a book by Brianna Wiest, I'm not sure how you pronounce her name. It's called This Is How You Heal, and it's honestly such a life-changing book. Like, I think by far my favorite book that I've ever read. And she was basically talking about a really, you know, interesting point, and I feel like you never really think about regret like that. You know, it was such a nice perspective to look from. And she was like, regret is not supposed to be like a negative emotion. If you regret not doing something, you feel like as though it's a missed opportunity. And she was basically saying in the book, like, there are no missed opportunities in life. Sure, you may have had an opportunity that had like more advantage over the other one, but you never really run out of opportunities in life as long as you create them for yourself, you know. And she was basically saying, like, don't just take regret at like face value. Like, don't just take regret as like this type of negative emotion and just call it a day and be like, dwell over the things that you didn't do and dwell over the things that you did do. Like, the reason why you're feeling regret, it's just like an invitation to do that thing. There's always an opportunity to just live what you regret not doing. And you know, like, this makes so much sense for example, healing your inner child, because it's like, even if you feel like you didn't live your childhood to the fullest, or you didn't enjoy things as much, or even in your teenage years, your soul never ages, okay? So just do what brings you the most joy at any age and just use up your free will like to the max. So this is the mindset shift that you need on this. You can start out by allowing yourself to be a little bit silly. Sing like your childhood cartoon song like out loud. Spend the whole day at the park reading, or just like doing something that's like super duper simple but just brings you so much joy. Even if, for example, you just go to the park to go on the swings. And there's no such thing as cringe, okay? Cringe is basically just you're releasing all of those emotions from your body. It doesn't even matter what people like think. Watch like your favorite cartoons from your childhood, and again, you're not wasting time. You're reminding your body that like, we don't have to be working 24/7, we don't have to be hustling 24/7, and it's okay to feel safe, and it's okay to not be in survival mode. And so, for example, it could be something as simple as taking yourself out for like an ice cream date. For example, rather than doing these fun activities with friends or with family, why don't you try doing it on your own one time? Basically taking your inner child out. Take yourself out to the movies, take yourself out to like, I don't know, to the park, and just like sit and read. Most importantly, stop calling it childish and stop shaming yourself for wanting to feel that like joy, you know, that you felt in childhood. You don't necessarily need to abandon joy in order to feel like you're an adult, or like to feel that you're mature. And every time you choose your inner child, you will bit by bit bring out the real you that has been suppressed behind all these like society, you know, rules, or even could be rules that you set up for yourself like unconsciously in childhood because the people around you were kind of shaming you for feeling a certain type of way. As long as it makes you feel good, as long as it brings you joy, forget about everybody else. If people don't get that, that's on them. You're just living your best life.